This podcast was made possible by Harler Print Co. Harler Print Co. specializes in large format vinyl products as well as a wide range of other printing services. This includes stickers, labels, magnets, business cards, flyers, posters, and even shirts and garments. For more information, you can check out their website at www.harlerprintco.com. The link will be in the description. Now on to the show. Warning: this podcast may contain language and content that is not suitable for children. Listener discretion is advised. Hey y'all, welcome to the weekly Double Down, a daily Double Down Network podcast. I'm your host Cody, and this week we're going to be merging from our traditional episodes, and today I'm going to be taking this one on solo. In the coming weeks, we will be seeing the release of Creed 3, and since I had never seen the Creed movies, I thought it would be a great idea to watch them and review them on the show. So in today's episode, we're going to go over the first Creed movie and discuss my thoughts and feelings about the carrying on of the Rocky Balboa legacy. But before we get into it, we're going to take you guys over to an extended part of the show this week, the hot spot, for all the latest movie news, reviews, and leaks. Alright guys, welcome to the Hot Spot, the weekly segment where we bring you the latest movie news and leaks. And today I have quite a bit of Marvel and DC content to go over. So to start off, we're going to go to the Sony Spider-Man universe. As I have reported on before, Tom Holland is supposed to appear in Across the Spider-Verse. Now, this is coming from Jeff Snyder, who is a very reliable insider in the trade, and, anything that Jeff says is probably going to be true. Now, something that ties into this is a report by Daniel RPK, another Twitter insider of the trade, and he says that Across the Spider-Verse will directly reference some of the events that happen in No Way Home, and they will even possibly referencing Doctor Strange. With this being said, that means that the Spider-Verse that Sony is setting up will really be able to interact with the MCU, and we will get to see more Spider-Man in the MCU, and we might even see some MCU characters pop up over there, although I highly doubt it. But it does seem as if they're trying to keep the doors open for the Spider-Verse to spill over into the MCU. And that is just awesome to me. Now, I do want to talk about some of the other projects that are going on. It is being reported by Jeff Snyder once again that Sydney Sweeney will be playing Julia Carpenter, a version of Spider-Woman in Madam Web. Now, we also have the Olivia Wilde projects of Spider-Woman getting her own film, but this one we know will follow Jessica Drew. What does this mean? This means that they are opening up the Spider-Verse to other Spider-Man heroes as well as their villains. And it looks just absolutely amazing as to what they could be doing. Now, we've talked about it before. We do know that the Spider-Man Noir series has been greenlit for Amazon. And it just seems to me that Sony's going to be building up to a major event, and this major event would probably be Spider-Geddon. We have the Madam Web movie coming out. We have Venom already established in this universe. We have our Spider-Man, and we just want to see more. That's the honest answer. We just want to see more of it, and I think they will deliver on that. And seeing a whole bunch of different Spider-Man, yeah, we're getting that in Across the Spider-Verse, but this would be a live-action crossover, which would include characters from Into and Across the Spider-Verse, possibly Toby and Andrew, because it is being reported that they are still on the table and still in talks. So I think this could have really great potential, and honestly, I'm just super stoked to see as much Spider-Man content as possible. If you guys don't know, I grew up on Spider-Man, especially the Tobey Maguire movies. They're staples of my childhood, and I just can't wait to see what they do and where they progress with this series. But we're going to flip over to the other side of Marvel news, and we're going to talk about the Avengers King Dynasty lineup, okay? Now, a lot of this is coming from Jeff Loveness and interviews that he has made, and we do know that Hawkeye, Daredevil, Moon Knight, and are all possibly appearing as Avengers. He has talked about how Daredevil and Moon Knight will do fairly well against King, but Hawkeye not so well. So we could be looking at the death of Hawkeye in King Dynasty, which would really make sense as they've already established Kate Bishop, and Hawkeye has been around since 2011, even though, it was very short-lived in that first Thor film. He also goes on to state that Yelena and Shuri could possibly be in there, that he may be writing them in, but he does confirm that the Fantastic Four and the X-Men will not appear in the King Dynasty. And I think that's really important as to, the success of an Avengers film. The Fantastic Four and the X-Men are not part of the Avengers. They fought alongside them. They've even fought against them at some points in times in the comics. And I think going into this multiversal saga, they really need to establish a group of Avengers. And I think that's what they aim to do here with King Dynasty. I wouldn't be too surprised to see the King Dynasty go under a different name as they did with the Infinity Saga films. They had it as Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. And then, they changed the names. They said, we're not releasing the names, this and that. So we've already seen this play out before. The slate got changed. Things got moved around. And we're seeing it happen right now. So all I'm going to say to you guys is don't fret. I think it's going to be a great move for them. But I would like to talk about the leaks and the reports of what the Avengers lineup will look like. And so I'm just going to go through it. There's two different lineups. One was released on 4chan, and it lines up really well with a post made by Grace Randolph on Twitter, who is another great insider. She just expands a little bit upon this. So I'm going to get into the lineup real quick. So starting it off, we have Captain America as the Sam Wilson version. We have She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Spider-Man, which we've already had reports that Tom Holland's Spider-Man will actually lead this team, Shuri as Black Panther, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, and Ant-Man. Now, I can probably say that Ant-Man, Shang-Chi, Spider-Man, Shuri, and Captain America are all definitely going to be in this movie. Shuri is the least that I'm, absolutely dead set on. But, that's the lineup that we're getting. But Grace Randolph also reported that Destin Daniel Cretton wants Hulk as well. Now, if you don't know, Destin Daniel Cretton, he wrote, or I'm not sure if he wrote, but he did direct the Shang-Chi film, and he has been given the task of directing the King Dynasty. So this gives us really good reason to believe that Shang-Chi is definitely going to be a central member of the Avengers in this film. Now, moving on to Ant-Man, we just saw Ant-Man have the first major interaction with Kang in the MCU, so I find it to be that Scott Lang will come back to the Avengers, and he will be the one warning them and teaching them and helping them prepare for it. I really like it that, they have the nobody, the guy with no powers, the guy, he's a great engineer. He does have a degree in engineering, but he's not the most scientifically inclined. He doesn't understand all of these elements that go on around him. As it was set up in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, spoilers if you haven't seen it, they set it up very well that he's a little bit out of his league with all of this stuff, especially with him writing his book, and in Captain America Civil War, they've shown that he doesn't place himself on the same level as the other Avengers. So, I think it's really great that they're going to have him come back. He suggested the time heist in Endgame, and, I think he will probably end up dying. It is said that Feige wants Daredevil as well, and through the discussions that so many people have had with Jeff Loveness, I would dare to say that Daredevil is going to be in there, no pun intended. But I do definitely believe that Daredevil will be in this film. And honestly, with him showing up in the Echo series, which will premiere either at the end of this year or the beginning of next year, hopefully, and then him getting his own 18-episode show next year, which has already begun filming, and we have already gotten the confirmation that Jon Bernthal will be returning as Punisher. That is absolutely crazy. So I think it would be a great idea, and honestly, with the groundedness of this Avengers team, I think Captain Marvel may not be on there, but definitely Daredevil. I'm interested as to see how they shuffle Moon Knight into this, but they do have a very obvious connection. We got the Rama Tut reference, again, spoilers for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We did get the revelation of Rama Tut and the Scarlet Centurion, and I can't remember the other version of Kang, but another variant of Kang right there at the end, Immortus. And we got all these versions of Kang. We also saw the Council of Kangs. So, with Rama Tut being so based in Egyptian mythology, it's very easy for Moon Knight to kind of get shuffled into that. And, he might have some tricks in the trade to share and try to, because who knows, Khonshu may have already defeated Kang and Rama Tut back then, so we could see some really interesting things there. Now, as for Captain Marvel, we do know that the Marvels should be dealing a great bit with incursions, so it would be great to see that. And for Captain America 4, it already seems as if it's going to be very central around the Hulks, so I wouldn't be surprised to see She-Hulk pop up in there, but it also seems to be going after the very similar Captain America Civil War, where it's kind of like an Avengers 2.5, but this one would be like Avengers 4.5, bridging the gap between Avengers Endgame and Avengers Kang Dynasty. But, overall, I really think that, even if we do have to switch some things out, there's some characters that get switched out. We do know that Namor will be appearing. Will he be a part of the Avengers lineup or not? But, I really think that this could be an absolute stellar lineup. And while people have been hating on it, I think this could be one of the best Avengers lineups, especially with the characters that we have in the MCU right now. This really sets up a young Avengers team, if you think about it, and it also sets up, just a fantastic Infinity War type. But this time, the people who die in the Kang Dynasty are not going to be coming back to fight. At least not that I think so. To be honest, I think these will serve as a kind of reset for the Marvel Universe, and we'll start to see new actors come in and play, our favored characters, in which they can build around the Fantastic Four, they can build around the X-Men, they can have the Avengers, they can have all of that. But who knows what Kevin Feige has up his sleeve. But that takes me to the last little bit of news for Marvel, and while the Kang the Dynasty lineup leaked, there was also a leak about the Secret Wars lineup, and let me say, this has me hype. Okay, guys, this is going to be great. So I'm just going to run through it. There's not a lot of detail on it, but it's awesome. So, starting it off, we have Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool, we have Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, we have all three Spider-Men, Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield. And we have Loki, plus the return of Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. We don't know if this is the Iron Man we know and love, or if this is a variant of Iron Man. But that is it for all the Marvel stuff. We do have some stuff to discuss about with DC. As you guys probably know, this week there's been a lot of news and leaks about the Joker film. Now, I'm just gonna hit the nail right on the head. It looks to be like they are adapting the Three Joker storyline. The scenes that have been leaked earlier today, it looks like there are three different Jokers, all of which are running down the street. It's a very, very simple, scene of them running, trying to run from something, and it looks like the cops are involved in some way. But we do see Joaquin Phoenix with a little bit of clown makeup on. It looks like it's been a little bit worn off. But we also see another Joker dressed in his traditional suit from the first film, and he has full makeup on. While we also see a Goonie who looks and appears to have a clown mask on. So we're not all too sure if they're actually going to adapt the storyline, but it would make sense if they did. You know, the more presentable Joker being the criminal, you know, or the criminal. Then you have the comedian, and then I'm pretty sure there's one other one. I can't remember what they call him. But one of them represents the sophisticated side of Joker and his genius. One represents his, batshit crazy side. And then the other represents his pure evil. So I think it's really cool and really interesting what they're doing there. But jumping over to another Batman villain, we have the Penguin series. It is set to be directly after the Batman events. From what we've heard, Colin Farrell says that the flooding of Gotham is exactly where it starts off, that the very opening scene will see Oswald Cobblepot going through giant puddles because the city of Gotham has not recovered from the flood. It's set to be just weeks after it. Now I'm going to go through everything that we know for sure about this. And I'm going to start with, it'll be 8 episodes, and each are going to air around an hour long. It's going to be more traditional on like the Game of Thrones HBO Max shows, where they're usually range from 55 to an hour and 5 minutes long, which is really awesome. We do know that it just began recording on the last day of February, and they may be gunning for a TVMA series, or rating. Like we saw with the Batman, how it was pushed right up to the edge of being rated R. It was really close to being rated R, and we don't know what they're going to do here. We don't know if they're going to have the leisure to be able to continue on and make this series darker. We also know that the Penguin series will be set right before the Batman Part 2, and as it comes, it looks as if the Penguin series will premiere at the beginning of next year, and then at the end of next year, we will be getting the Batman Part 2. Now, there is some official castings. We have Kristen Milotti as Sophia Falcone, and then we don't know many other of these people, but we do have Michael Kelly joining the cast. We have Shore Agdashlu, and I'm pretty sure she's going to be playing Nadia Maroney. Deidre O'Connell and Renzi Feliz. Not entirely sure who's going to be in that, and who they're going to be playing, but these are the cast members that we have. There's also Robert Pattinson was spotted in the same city, landing. So it looks to me that we will see Batman in a different light in this series, and I think that could be very interesting. You know, seeing, the horrid side of Batman. It is also said that Oswald Cobblepot's mother will be involved in this, and it will be somewhat of a family show revolving around family themes. As we know, at the end of the Batman, Falcone passed, And now we have Sophia Falcone trying to take over and run the business. So, really great idea. It is also said that she will be the female lead of the show. So, I wonder where they're going to take that, if there's going to be a romance between the two or not. And moving into the final few things on our on our hotspot today, Peter Pan and Wendy trailer released this week. The only thing that has me excited about this is that David Lowery from The Green Knight, which was a fantastic film. Check it out if you guys have not seen it. He will be directing it, and it's supposed to be a grounded and more grittier take on the traditional story. I am pretty sure this film will be PG-13. It's kind of reminiscent of some of the themes that Disney has been trying to do and turn the fan favorites from when they were children into more grounded, realistic stories for today. We also got the first look at Haunted Mansion with their trailer releasing this week. This comes out in July, I believe. I reported on this like a week or two ago. But we do know that Rosario Dawson, Danny DeVito, Lakeith Steinfeld, and Owen Wilson will be starring. If you weren't a fan of the Eddie Murphy ones, this one looks a lot better. But I love the Eddie Murphy one. Don't care how bad it is. But it's really hard to have good content when you go on, you're basing it on a attraction, a theme ride. So we do have a update. There's a Hellboy reboot going on, and it is titled Hellboy the Crooked Man. This is based on a huge comic run called Hellboy the Crooked Man that took place. It is supposedly the best comic run, and they're going to be, sticking to it very strictly. And it is said that Jack Kessie has been cast as Hellboy. And, I don't know too much of what Jack Kessie's done, but I'm sure just by the looks of it, he will play a great Hellboy. Now, I don't have much information on this next film, but we do have a Dead by Daylight film coming from Blumhouse. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm not sure exactly how they're going to do it. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see Freddy Krueger, Demogorgon, and Michael Myers all on the screen at the same time. I just don't know how that's going to work. But they do have a slew of their own fresh killers, and I think that they should throw in some of their own originals. I think that would be what motivates people to see this film. But at the same time, they could always go the route of, hey, let's get the rights to all these characters. Blumhouse has been working with a lot of these characters as of lately. So I think it could be a great way to combine the horror, pop culture into one and make it a great film. Now, we did get a confirmation. Detective Pikachu 2 is on the way, and Jonathan Kryzell is to direct. This will be separate because Netflix just picked up Pokemon and all the rights, and they will be turning it into live-action TV shows and movies. This will be separate, and those are still confirmed to be happening, so we will get plenty of Pokemon content over the next coming years. But that is all I have for the hotspot today. This was a much longer hotspot than usual. But if you like today's show and you guys want to keep supporting it, please head on over to the Patreon. This takes a lot out of me to do all this research, to watch films, to come and report to you guys. But we just want to show we want to thank you for your support just by viewing every week. Thank you guys very much, and we will get into the main segment of the show. Alright, so time to talk Creed, guys. Alright, to be fair, I have not watched these films. I wasn't the hugest fan of the Rocky films, but I thoroughly enjoyed a couple of them. Some of them were lacking, but others were amazing. And I think, going into Creed, I didn't really have a lot of expectations. A lot of people have talked this film up, and I've listened to them, and I've heard them, and I've wanted to watch it at times, but I've just never gotten around to it. And finally, I played it And let me just say, guys, it lives up to the hype. It is worth it, and it's an absolute recommend. It's directed by Ryan Coogler. It stars Tessa Thompson. It stars Sylvester Stallone in his, you know, reprise to his most famous role as Rocky Balboa, and Michael B. Jordan as Adonis Creed. Just, it was beautiful. I want to just say, the fight sequence in this film knocked me out of the park. I absolutely adored them. The way that they shot and filmed the fight scenes was just beautiful. It was gorgeous, and I loved it. I mean, I would not change a single thing about this film. I'm just going to list off a few of the things that I found the best. I'll give you guys my score, and if it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down, but I definitely, by the way I'm talking, you guys should already know. So, the first thing that I really like about this film, like I've said before, is the action. The way that the camera moves in the ring is unreal, and it makes you feel as if you are in the ring with them, either as a referee or even boxing sometimes. The filming is absolutely stunning. Ryan Coogler knocked this out of the park. Again, with Ryan Coogler, he wrote the screenplay with this, with another man. I'm not sure exactly what his name is off the top of my head, but it was great writing. It was perfect. It played the emotional parts at the right time. It focused on the action. It focused on the actual fighting at the right time. It focused on relationship building at the perfect times. It was just perfectly paced and perfectly planned out. I just loved it. I thought it was great. It gives you a real good emotional roller coaster, and that's something you don't really get with most movies today, and a good emotional roller coaster that keeps you entertained and keeps you engaged. Now, another thing that I want to point out is the music of this film. It had one of the greatest soundtracks, and it still, while it had reminiscent themes and started playing the Rocky theme, it made itself its own with its music, and it really solidified itself as something else. I know a lot of people are very upset about this third film coming out not starring Rocky at all. I don't think Sylvester Stallone is too disappointed in it, but I do think that Creed needs to be able to stand on his own if this is going to be a continuation of the franchise and continue on past just this trilogy. Now, with that being said, I still haven't watched the second movie, and that will be coming out next week. But, I'm half tempted to just watch it right now. As of time of recording, it is 20 minutes until release time, but I'm so tempted to push it off and watch it and give you guys both, but sadly I cannot do that. I will say, I'm going to give you guys my rating real quick. I give this movie a 91%. This is top tier filmmaking at its finest. I think Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler just hook up and make the best films that can really be made today. They're artistic, they're fresh, they're new, but they can still be very nostalgic to the old and familiar characters and themes that we know. So just hands down, one of the best boxing movies I've ever seen, in my opinion. Warrior is still the greatest fighting movie I've ever seen, but this, even though it may not be UFC, this stacks up very closely. And like I said before, the pacing, the emotional roller coaster, everything, it was just perfect. So, with that being said, that is all the time I have this week. I know this was a very short episode, but we are looking forward to giving you guys a full episode next week when I continue to discuss Creed and Creed 2, and I will be bringing you guys another film that has yet to be selected. But with that being said, let's get some of the administrational stuff out of the way. If you guys enjoy our content, you guys can find our other shows at our website at ddoubledownnetwork.com. You guys can find us on Twitter at doubledownblog. You guys can also find us on Instagram at Daily Double Down Network or Double Down Network, either or. If you guys are having a hard time finding them, they are in our website. If you guys feel so inclined, please head on over to our Patreon at Double Down Network and go ahead and subscribe to one of our tiers. We do have 3 separate tiers, all of which you guys will receive ad-free content. And if you subscribe to higher tiers, you guys could even get merch such as shirts, stickers, hats, and you guys could even get to choose your own topic for one of our episodes, and we will cover it for an entire main segment. With that being said, thank you guys for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys next week.